Hello everyone, I'm Freaky and welcome to the video. And welcome to my series, You Know What Ticks Me Off. This is the series where I point out the things that really ticks me off. From the internet to reality, games, movies, everyday stuff, etc, etc. From the really small things to the really big things. Some of you guys might get it, and some of you may not get it, as to why I make segments of the subject that I'm talking about. And these are segments that matters to me. Some of you might find them pointless, some of you might find them interesting. But if there's a certain thing in real life or on the internet or any books or games or etc that you want my thoughts on, and if that certain subject really ticks me off, I just might make a segment about it. So without further ado, let's resume with the video. You know what really ticks me off? Studios and or companies not releasing their TV shows onto DVD when we saw them on TV. Or they're out of print. Now, what am I saying? What am I talking about? Okay, let me ask you guys something. Let's just say, for example, that you're a fan of a certain series or a certain movie, and it could be anything. It could be a new series, an old series. It could be a cartoon series. It could be a live action series. It could be like a documentary series. And it can be literally, and I mean literally anything. Hell, it can even be bumpers or promos for a series. Or maybe I'm going too far with that. Anyways, or it could be from a game show for either adults or kids. Maybe it's one of those reenactment true crimes programs. Maybe it was a top 10 list or a 100 greatest list. Maybe it was a TV movie. It can be absolutely 100% anything. It could be a soap opera from its beginning all the way to the latest episodes. It can be anything, and I mean anything, that you saw on TV years ago. And I mean literally anything. And it was all on TV. Or just for simplicity's sake. Let's talk about cartoons. Like I said, this is just for simplicity's sake. Now, let me ask you guys something. Is there a certain cartoon that you like, that you used to watch when you was a kid? Or maybe you are a kid and you want to watch the old cartoons. And it can be from the earliest cartoons to up-to-date cartoons. Now, with some cartoons, like Scooby-Doo, Tom and Jerry, the Looney Tunes, more or less, you can get those on DVD or Blu-ray. Yes, you're going to come across DVDs or box sets from a series that you like. But that's not always the case, because there are other series that I do like, and they never got a release. Let me give you guys a few examples. Now, just to let you guys know, when Dragon Ball Z was coming out in the UK in the early 2000s, or late 90s, we had the Westwood dub and the Ocean dub. And these dubs was completely different from the Funimation dub. And these were the dubs that I grew up with, and not the Funimation dub. And sadly, these dubs for Dragon Ball Z never got a release on DVD, and they were thought to be lost until there was a team of people on the internet trying to find these dubs. And luckily, you can find them on the internet now. And DBZ Ironman was one of those people who was part of a team who found these Ocean and Westwood dubs. And the Blue Water dub. It's all thanks to these guys that the Ocean dub, Westwood dub and the Blue Water dub was found and restored. But these dubs was never given a rightful DVD release. But instead we got the Funimation dub for the Orange Bricks, which are awful. And I'll get back to this in a bit. I just want to talk about something else first. Anyways, these dubs for Dragon Ball Z was never released on DVD. And not just that, there was other shows that never got a release. That was either on Toon Army or Cartoon Network or whatever cartoon that you was watching at the time. Now, at this point in time when I was making this video, I hear they're going to release Ed, Edd n Eddy on box set or DVD. And to be honest, this is a series that I would definitely watch, again, given the chance. Or in this case, buy on DVD. But I've been hearing that they botched the DVD. Either there was some episodes missing or something. Again, I'll get back to this in a second. But let me give you my example. There was this cartoon I used to watch all the time, and it was called Two Stupid Dogs. And this series was relaxing and funny at the same time. And you know what? I would love to buy them on DVD. But sadly, there's only Volume 1 on DVD, and the rest wasn't released. Or, here's another example. One of my favourite cartoons was Cow and Chicken, and they did have a release, but they're out of print now. And I don't think they had a UK release. There was Megas XLR. There was Dexter's Laboratory, there was I Am Weasel, there was Johnny Bravo. You guys got the general idea. Now, I want to talk about something else. I will get back to this in a second. Let's talk about Scooby-Doo for a second. Now, there are releases of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Seasons 1, 2 and 3. And there's also the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. And there's also the new Scooby-Doo movies, which is a series from either the 70s or the 80s. If you're a Scooby-Doo fan, you know what I'm talking about. And there are lots of Scooby-Doo movies as well. And I mean a lot of them. But there's also Scooby-Doo series that I used to watch, but isn't on DVD. There was the Scooby-Doo show, and there was Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo. Okay, say what you want about Scrappy-Doo, but in some of his episodes and some of his movies, he was decent in them. Anyways, yeah, there are a few Scooby-Doo series that isn't on DVD. But a Scooby-Doo fan might say, you know what, I want every single piece of Scooby-Doo merchandise, or in this case, DVDs. But some of the Scooby-Doo cartoons or series isn't on DVD. So it would make sense to release every single Scooby-Doo series and cartoon. I just don't understand why they didn't do that. Or it doesn't have to be part of a series franchise as big as Scooby-Doo. Again, like Two Stupid Dogs. I really did love that series, and sadly, it isn't on DVD. Or is another one. Back in the day, there was this series on Cartoon Network, and it was called The Real Story of. And it was like a cartoon version, like The Real Story of Humpty Dumpty, or The Real Story of the Itsy Bitsy Spider, or The Real Story of the Three Little Kittens. Or there was this other one about a ghost bridge or something, and that one was awesome. And sadly, all those cartoons have been lost. But the one with the bridge is a film cartoon I would definitely get on DVD. Or is another example. There used to be a series on Channel 4, and it was called The 100 Greatest. And they would make a list about everything. The 100 Greatest Moments, the 100 Greatest Scariest Moments, the 100 Greatest Sad Moments, the 50 Greatest Documentaries, and so on and so on. Sadly, they've never been released on DVD, and I know the reason as to why. I think it was because of copyright issues or something, but saying that, I am a huge fan of this series. You can find more than half of them online if you look. Hell, on my Rumble channel, I've uploaded as many as I could find. So if you're one of those people who loves the 100 Greatest Moments on Channel 4, you can find them on my Rumble channel. Anyways, it's something like that. Or is another one. There's a sitcom called Only Fools and Horses, and it's one of the greatest British sitcoms of all time. And it's funny, and I've got the box set to it. But years ago, UK Gold made the 40 Only Fools moments, where they show us the greatest moments within the TV show of Only Fools and Horses. And you know what? I really enjoyed that program. And sadly, it was never released on DVD. And I can't find it on the internet either. And I think I know why they didn't release it. It's because it had Jimmy Savile in it. And nobody wants to watch anything that he's in. But besides from that, I really did enjoy that program. I really did. Even if it had Jimmy Savile in it, which I know is an awful human being, I would love to get my hands on it on DVD. So you guys have basically got the general idea of what I'm trying to say. And the same can be said for you guys. Maybe there's a certain show that you want to get on DVD and keep in your collection because you love it so much, but it was never released on DVD. And it can be absolutely anything. And it's a shame that none of these cartoons or series or soaps or etc., that we saw on TV that will never get a DVD release. And I want to go back to something for a second. There are also times when a series or whatever that does get released, they do a terrible job releasing that DVD or box set. Like for example, the Dragon Ball Z Orange Bricks. Now, there are loads of videos on the subject when it comes to the Dragon Ball Z Orange Bricks. So if you guys want to go and check out as to what I'm talking about, you can find loads of YouTube videos on the Dragon Ball Z Orange Bricks and why they are awful. Like for example, there's a few episodes missing from the Tom and Jerry box set, and it's been censored. So really, it doesn't have that perfect release that it deserves. I mean, come on, Tom and Jerry are legendary. So they censored it and didn't put in the entire series of Tom and Jerry? I mean, come on. And there's that old debacle with Ed, Edd and Eddy, where they half-ass a DVD box set, or there was something missing, or they didn't include some specials in the DVD box sets like bloopers, bumpers, but I'll get back to that in a second. What I'm trying to get at is, there are studios and companies who do a sloppy job or intentionally do a bad job of releasing DVDs. Either there was something wrong with them, or they censored them, and it was either an accident, or they purposely took something out, or they did a terrible job, or they just forgot something. So yeah, sometimes the DVD releases can be sloppy. I mean, sure, yeah, I can agree that nothing's going to be perfect, but at the very least they could have done is to try their absolute best to make the DVD box set the best that they can be, and uncensored, and every single episode from that series, and make the episodes the best that they can be, like in their original form, like we saw on TV, or as they were meant to be watched. Now, I know what some people are going to say. They're going to say, oh, but freaky, streaming services might have these shows on the streaming services like Amazon Prime or Netflix. Wouldn't it be better to watch old movies and series on those sort of places? Well, the thing is, no. Streaming services are awful, and there are loads of things wrong with them. And I would say what was wrong with streaming services, but that's another topic for another video. But I do have a video about streaming services versus video rental stores, and I go into full detail as to why streaming services are awful and why video rental stores are better than streaming services. So if you guys want to go and check that video out, please do. That video will explain why streaming services are awful compared to video rental stores. You know, the problems, why streaming services are awful, that sort of thing. I'll leave a link in the description box below to that video, and you guys will see why streaming services are awful. But yeah, anyways, back to the video. Now, even though I've pointed out the problems as to why some studios release DVDs and box sets sloppily, like they censor them, they forget a few episodes, there are also times when they don't release the full series. Like for example, back in the day, they was going to release Dragon Ball Z on Blu-ray years ago, and they were called the level sets. And these level sets was going to be on Blu-ray, and for what I've heard, they weren't going to have the bottom half and the top half cut. Like I said, the orange bricks had a lot of problems, but it was the level sets that was going to fix all of that. But sadly, they only ever brought out 1 or 2 volumes of the level sets, and for what I've been hearing from people, I heard that this was a much more better release than the orange bricks. And if that was the case, I would have gladly level sets. But again, sadly, they never released the full series on the level sets. And you know what? That's sad. And on Blu-ray too, and it had all these problems fixed. I mean, yeah, take my money. And there are other times when the first volume of a series is released, but they never release the second volume or any other volume after that. Like for example, Two Stupid Dogs and Super Secret Squirrel. They have only ever released volume 1. And for the past 4 years, they never released volume 2. And you know what? I would have gladly bought the Two Stupid Dogs DVD box set or collection. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. They either do a sloppy job of putting the DVD together, or intentionally taking episodes out, or censoring stuff, or they just plumb forgot. And yeah, I know some of you are thinking, me talking about these sort of things about DVDs can be a turn-off of wanting to buy them. But do not lose hope, because when it comes to this sort of thing, when the community is either pissed off about this sort of thing happening to DVDs, when the community who buys these DVDs comes together and complain about the problems with the DVD or box set, sometimes these studios or companies who release the DVDs will fix their mistakes. Like for example, years ago I got this box set of Kill la Kill, and they brought this box set, or box, that was supposed to hold your DVD cases in of the series Kill la Kill. And when one of the DVD cases didn't fit into the box set, everybody called into the distributor or the companies that was releasing the series. These companies went back and resized the DVD case so it would fit into the box set. And I think they gave the people who already bought the DVD case a free DVD case with the right size for the box set. And I'm sure there's a few other cases, no pun intended, of as to where this sort of thing has happened, where people said, oh, there's an episode missing, or there's something wrong with this episode. Like for example, Panty and Stocking. Now I can't remember which episode this was. I think it was either episode 10 or 11. And basically the problem with one of the episodes is that the episode cuts off at some point and it doesn't finish the entire episode. Hell, I think even the credits wasn't in this episode. I can't remember what episode it was called, but all I remember is there was a sitting down on a couch waiting for food. And when people started to realise the problem, the community came together again and said, hey, something's wrong with this episode of Panty and Stocking. And I think they fixed it and re-released that certain disc. I can't remember exactly what they did, but they did fix the problem. I think they might have distributed a fixed disc as a replacement and gave everybody a free disc. I'm not really sure, it's been a long time. But those are the 2 examples, among many others, when there's something wrong with a DVD or something. They will do what they can to fix the problem, if people was to complain enough, especially if it's a muck up on their part. I mean, I really wish they would have fixed the orange bricks. I mean, they did a terrible job on the orange bricks with Dragon Ball Z. Hell, even the Dragon Ball Z fans made videos saying what's wrong with the orange bricks and things they can change to make the DVDs better. Hell, I even made a video saying what I would like to see in future Dragon Ball Z releases. So if you guys want to go and check that out, please do. But when it came to the orange bricks, I'm pretty sure that the distributors or companies or studios who was releasing this DVD box set of Dragon Ball Z didn't know what to do. I think it was because of all the problems with it that everybody was talking about. So yeah, I'm going to say there was like too many problems and the orange bricks was in full production. So really, they couldn't go back even if they wanted to. Let's assume, I think, that's what happened. So really, they didn't do anything. So anyways, what could they do to combat this problem? And I mean all these problems. Well, number 1, the main reason why I made this video, every studio, every company, and every distributor and producer should release a show or series on DVD. And listen, I know this is impossible, just to release every single thing that was ever shown on TV. I mean, yeah, it is literally impossible. So, what can they do? Well, number 1, they should release TV shows. Yeah, I know, obvious. But what sort of TV shows? What could they do to start off this? Okay, well, number 1, let's just say, for example, you've got the series Scooby-Doo, and Scooby-Doo is well known throughout the world. And yes, I have seen 1 or 2 series of Scooby-Doo being released, like The 13 Ghosts, Scooby-Doo Where Are You? And I've seen a lot of movies with Scooby-Doo in them. And these are the Scooby-Doo cartoons that I've seen on DVD, or I've seen released on DVD. And we know why. It's because Scooby-Doo is popular. So, if Scooby-Doo is popular, what do? You release every single piece of media that Scooby-Doo has been in, especially the ones with Scrappy-Doo. Love him or hate him, Scrappy-Doo is part of the Scooby-Doo franchise. What I'm saying is, they should release every single piece of media that Scooby-Doo's been in, specifically series or cartoons. Scooby-Doo Where Are You?, the new Scooby-Doo movies, Scooby and Scrappy-Doo, the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, the new Scooby-Doo show, Scooby-Doo's Laugh Olympics, Scooby-Doo specials, Scooby-Doo movies, live action or animated, or crossovers. They don't have to put every single Scooby-Doo series in one box set. They could just say, hey, this series is from Scooby-Doo Where Are You? And this series is from the new Scooby-Doo movies, and this series of Scooby-Doo is from the 13th Ghost of Scooby-Doo, and this is Scooby and Scrappy-Doo, and oh, this is the new Scooby-Doo series show. And the same with the movies. I mean, if they wanted to, they could put the movies of Scooby-Doo in a box set. And I'm talking about the animated ones. And yeah, in recent times, there has been more Scooby-Doo movies, but I think they should release them in a box set by the dates that they came out, like Scooby Goes Hollywood, and then there's Scooby-Doo Meets the Boo Brothers, Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf, Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, and they could release those as part of a group, because those Scooby-Doo movies are the first Scooby-Doo movies that came out, you know, one after the other, and then after that they can release the next 5, came out by date, and the next 5, and the next 5, or they don't have to be by 5, they can just, be by 10 or something. Like I said, it's just an example. Anyways, if they're going to release a Scooby-Doo series, then they should release all the Scooby-Doo series, like the ones I mentioned and the others that I forgot about. And you can either have them in a big massive box set, or you can just have them as individual box sets from each series. Again, series, crossovers, animated movies, live action movies, etc, etc. Because then that way, when people see them on the shelves or see them online, they'll go, wow, nearly every single Scooby-Doo series that I've ever watched is out. And there was loads of Scooby-Doo cartoons. The ones with the entire gang, Scooby, Shaggy, Velma, Daphne, Freddy. There was one with just Scooby, Scrappy and Shaggy. There was a few with Daphne, Shaggy, Scrappy and Scooby in the 13 Ghosts, and I think in the Scooby-Doo show. And it had Daphne, Freddy, Velma, Shaggy, Scooby and Scrappy. And they would also have Scooby-Dum in there as well. Anyways, the point what I'm trying to say is, if they're going to release a series that is part of a franchise, like again, Scooby-Doo, then they should release every single piece of media that's related to that franchise, again, like Scooby-Doo, and other franchises, like for example, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that too has a franchise. If they're going to release one series of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, then they should release every single series of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or Disney's Mickey Mouse and Friends. Back in the 40s to the 60s, they would usually have cartoons of Mickey, Pluto, Donald and Goofy in their own individual cartoons, or they would team up sometimes. If they release a complete box set of one character's series, then they should release every single character's series box sets, because I was a huge fan of Donald and Goofy in their own individual shorts. Goofy had around, I don't know, about like 50 or 60 shorts, and Donald had something like 100 or something. So what I'm trying to say is, if they're going to release the Disney shorts from Mickey, Pluto, Donald and Goofy and Silly Sympathies, if one has a box set with all their episodes, then every single character and even the Silly Sympathies should have their own box set release of all their episodes for each character, if you guys know what I'm trying to say. It's the same with Transformers. There are loads of series with the Transformers series. Transformers, more than meets the eye. You release one, you release all of them. And the same with the DC franchise. There was Batman, the animated series. There was Batman Beyond. There was Static Shock. There was Superman. There was the Justice League. There was Justice League Unlimited. And not forgetting the live action movies. And yeah, I know the DC can be a little bit complicated with copywriting, but just for simplicity's sake, they should do the animated series of DC and release them all and say, hey everybody, every single DC property series has been released over here. Again, Batman, Superman, Justice League Unlimited, Static Shock, the Teen Titans, and sadly, Young Justice, and sadly, Harley Quinn. And the reason why I said sadly is because these two series have gone woke, and woke is nasty. Anyways, I'm getting off track. And not just the animated series, but the animated movies as well. Sub-Zero, Mask of the Phantasm, The Joker Returns, Teen Titans vs. the Justice League, etc, 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 etc. And when it comes to the live action, they should say, hey everybody, every single live action movie and series from the DC franchise is over here. So that way, there'll be two categories, the live action and the animations. So at the very least, this will keep copyright issues down to a minimal, because hey, I would love to have the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited and the old Justice League cartoons, the really old ones, on DVD. It's the same with Tom and Jerry, from the very first time we saw them to near the end of the last time we saw them in the 60s, because the first 162 episodes of Tom and Jerry was the golden age of Tom and Jerry. And then afterwards, later on, I find out later that there's actually a Tom and Jerry series that was made in the 70s, which I've never actually seen. And then there's the Tom and Jerry Kids show. And in recent times, there's been a new Tom and Jerry show. And this was like in recent times, like the brand new Tom and Jerry. Now, even though I will never ever watch the new one, I would still get Tom and Jerry because they're part of a franchise. It's the same with their movies. Say what you want about the latest movies when they cross over with other movies like The Wizard of Oz or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or any other movie. Even if you don't like them, they're still part of a franchise. So they could put the movies in sort of a big box set, and they can have the individual Tom and Jerry series either in a big massive box set, or they can have them in separate box sets. Again, like the 162 episodes in one box set, the other one in the 70s have its own box set, the Tom and Jerry Kids show have its own box set, the new Tom and Jerry show have its own box set, and the movies have their own box sets, like 5 in each box set, maybe. So you guys have basically got the general idea. If it's part of a franchise, they should release every single piece of that franchise's media on DVD from every series and movie. So that way the fans will have their hands on every single piece of media that franchise comes from. But here's the thing, what if a series isn't part of a franchise? Like individual series like Courage the Cowardly Dog, Cow and Chicken, Johnny Bravo, I Am Weasel, The Powerpuff Girls, Ed, Edd n Eddy, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Codename Kids Next Door, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, and What a Cartoon. Yeah, you heard me. What a Cartoon. This was a series that had different cartoons that had nothing to do with each other, but some of those cartoons had their own series like The Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Lab, and there was a fair few other cartoons that didn't get their own series and they just stayed as singles, and etc, which means everything else. Now, let me ask you guys something. What do all these cartoons have in common? And the answer is, they were shown on Cartoon Network, or created by Cartoon Network. Well, at the very least I think so anyways. And what I'm trying to say is, Cartoon Network should release every single cartoon that they've ever made on DVD. Because if all these cartoons belong to Cartoon Network, then they should release every single cartoon that they've ever made or shown on Cartoon Network. I mean, come on, they've released Courage the Cowardly Dog, so why not the others? I know they're trying to release Ed, Edd n Eddy, so yeah, all the cartoons that was made by a studio like Cartoon Network, they should release every single animated series and movie that they ever made. So even though all these cartoons aren't part of a franchise, but they were created by Cartoon Network or shown on Cartoon Network, and when they release them, they could have a symbol on them saying that, oh, this is a classic cartoon from Cartoon Network, or have something like, oh, this series was made by Cartoon Network. So if they release one series, they should release them all, or at the very least, release them in groups by the age they were shown on Cartoon Network, or created, or by generation. They could release a bunch of cartoons from one generation, and then release another batch of box sets from another generation, and the cycle continues until they're up to the nearest generation. And it's not just Cartoon Network, but it could be from Nickelodeon. They could do the same as well. Cartoons like A. Arnold, The Rugrats, Doug, The Wild Thornberrys, The Angry Beavers, Ren and Stimpy, Rocko's Modern Life, Avatar, Danny Phantom, and not just the cartoons, but the live action shows as well. Like every single cartoon that they've ever created or shown on Nickelodeon, they should release every single show on DVD and say, these shows were made by Nickelodeon. So basically you guys got the general idea. Instead of releasing them by franchise, release them all by studio, and maybe by generations. Like for example, the first generation of cartoons that was made by Cartoon Network is Dexter's Lab, Johnny Bravo, The Powerpuff Girls, Cow and Chicken, and so on, is going to be released in their own box sets. And they put them in a group, not all in one box set, but their own individual box sets. And they release them in a group by generation. So this way, if a certain generation was to see these box sets, they'll say, wow, look, there's Cow and Chicken. Oh, look, there's Johnny Bravo. Oh, look, there's so-and-so. Oh, look, there's so-and-so. I used to watch these when I was a kid. You know what? I'm going to buy these DVDs. And who knows, they might buy them in groups, or one or two or three of them at once, or maybe just one of them. Or they might get the other DVDs another day. And if they was to release another generation, the generation who watched that generation could go, oh look, there's so-and-so, I'm going to get that. Or if the newest generation was to see the old generation of cartoons, they might go, you know what, I watched this on Cartoon Network years ago, and this other show is from Cartoon Network, so you know what, I'll give that show a go. So if they was to have the same sort of covering that says, oh yeah, this cartoon was shown or created by Cartoon Network, everybody will know that that show came from Cartoon Network. The same with Nickelodeon, if they was to do the same. And it's the same with studios like Hanna-Barbera, where they have classic cartoons like Yogi Bear, Huckleberry Hound, Johnny Quest, The SWAT Cats, Two Stupid Dogs, etc, 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 etc. These guys have made a hell of a lot of cartoons, and there's quite a few franchises under their belt as well. And when it comes to studios or companies like Hanna-Barbera, they are well known for their cartoons. Well, to be honest, from what I've seen, half of them are fantastic, and the other half are just, well, boring to me. I said to me. But that's not to say that I wouldn't want them to put them on DVD. And like I said, they've got a few franchises under their belt. So they could release the franchises first, like the Flintstones, Yogi Bear, the Jetsons. I don't think they have a franchise. I think it's just one long continuation. Like, I know they've got like Johnny Quest, and there's also another series called The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, and there's Secret Squirrel, and there's Super Secret Squirrel, and that goes along with Two Stupid Dogs. So that in itself is a franchise. Well, kinda sorta. So yeah, they should do their franchises first of their well-known series, and then they should release their other well-known series. Now in this case, when it comes to Hanna-Barbera, I think they should do either a double or triple feature, like their short series with other short series. You know, the series that only had like 13 episodes to 26 episodes, or something like that. You know, a double feature. If you ask me, I think that's a good deal. And I'm talking about DVDs of a character that isn't really all that popular, or people have forgot about. So at the very least, if they was to do this, it will at least get 2 double features out there that isn't that popular or is just forgotten about, especially if it's for little kids. So there you go, you guys have basically got the general idea on what all these studios and distributors can do. And again, it can be absolutely anything: game shows, soaps, cartoons, etc, etc. But there's also one other problem. Let's just say, for example, that the studios couldn't officially release the series that you like. Maybe for some reason, maybe for copyright issues, or maybe it adds somebody like Jimmy Savile in them. You know, it could be like all sorts of reasons as to why they couldn't release these shows on DVD. Like, for example, there's this series I like, and it's called 100 Greatest Moments. And when it comes to this series, it's obvious that they're using copyrighted material from other movies. So it's obvious that they wouldn't be able to make a DVD out of any of these series, or episodes from a series. Or there's another series called Only Fools and Horses, and there was a countdown on UK Gold, Only Fools 40 Greatest. And I've been trying to find this episode for a very long time, and I think the reason why they won't release it is because Jimmy Savile is in it, and they just want everybody just to forget that Jimmy Savile was ever in this project of Only Fools Top 40. So if a series ever has these problems or other problems, why don't they release these sort of episodes on the internet? I mean, they're not really selling anything, so there really wouldn't be a problem. So if that's the problem, copyright issues, or there was some other reason like that, then just release it on the internet, like Rumble or something. Or there's another way. Now, I've been saying throughout this entire video that studios should release DVDs by franchise and association and by branding, but let's just say, for example, that they couldn't find enough people want to buy this DVD box set. And again, it could be anything. Like, let's just say, for example, that it wouldn't sell well even if it was released on DVD. So what could we do to actually get these DVDs, even if these studios don't release them on their own accord? Well, I do have an idea. We, the consumer, can write into them, the studios or these companies, and ask them if they can create like a floppy disk or a DVD or a USB stick or just a few files on the internet and have them sent to you. Like, let's just say, for example, I wanted the Two Stupid Dogs series from Hanna-Barbera, and their analytics team said that putting the Two Stupid Dogs series on DVD would lose the company money because it wasn't selling well. Like, distributing hundreds of DVDs of this series, but only, for example, only 10 people bought these DVDs. The company would lose a lot of money. But what if we, the consumer, wrote into Hanna-Barbera and said, listen, I like the Two Stupid Dogs series, and you haven't released them on DVD, so I'd like to ask you a favour and actually make a special case and create a few copies and sell me 1 or 2 copies of the box set of Two Stupid Dogs. So yeah, you can ask these studios to make a special box set for you. Or even better, the studio could get everything ready, like the covers for the box set and getting ready for the making of the DVD for all their media. And if somebody was to call in saying, oh, I would like a copy of Jabberjaw, these companies will go, okay, we need 1 copy of Jabberjaw, and they can pay through PayPal or through the phone or the internet or whatever when they do make this transaction. And they'll ask, okay, where are you from, and other personal information. Because of the all region lock thing, these companies will need to know where you live. Well, not exactly know where you live, but it's just the region of the world, so that way they can put the DVD onto whichever region you live in. You know, America's 1, Europe's 2, etc, etc. And if they want to, they could also put in special features as well, like interview with the cast, interview with the creator, subtitles, you know, special features. And that's another reason why I love box sets or DVDs. They have special features like trailers and bloopers and interviews and all that stuff. And that's another thing that you would never see on Netflix or Amazon Prime. That's what box sets have, and that's not what streaming services have. So yeah, there you go. All you have to do is just call in and say, listen, I would like this series, could you make it? And if they agree, you pay them, And then you've got your own special box set of a series you like. The companies or studio will be happy, and the customer will be happy. And there you go. This is what companies need to do if people want to get their hands on these old shows. These companies will have their products sold, the fans will be happy, we'll get to see old shows again, and there you go. Everybody will be happy. Now, if you guys have any good ideas on how you would get these old shows, besides from trying to find them on the internet, looking for these lost medias, please let me know. So yeah, what do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Is there a certain series that you want on DVD? And it can be anything. It could be a cartoon series or a live action series, or it could be anything in particular. Please let me know in the comments section below, and let's get a discussion going. I'm Freaky. Peace out. And please don't forget to check out my other social medias. Please go and check out my alternative video platforms: Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Twitch, and please come and hang out on my Discord server. We can play games, have a movie night or a series night, or you can watch me play a few games. And if you guys have any suggestions of any videos you want me to react to, or any video ideas in general, you can tell me on my Discord. I'm also on Twitter, Gab, Getter, and Paula. I'm on Locals, Tumblr, Minds, and if you guys want to support me, please go and check out my Subscribestar. It's like Patreon, but better. All these things are in the description box below, so please go and check them out and subscribe to them. I'm Geek Freak. Peace out.